guy going. Oh no, come back. There we go. All right, so essentially, I'm just going to be working in the program Sketchbook just because it's the most free. And to be fair, it's not maybe my favorite. Procreate's pretty nice. GoodNotes is pretty good for note taking. Honestly, the Notes app right here is pretty good for taking notes. You can type, text, and draw. So that one's actually probably one of my favorites. It comes with the iPad. So if you're taking notes out there or just kind of doodling, sketching, that's probably one of my favorites because, well, there's the least amount of options there. And so I don't know about you, but for me, the more options that are available, the slower that I seem to draw. So I don't know. One thing I've noticed is basically using the right app for the right purpose or cause. But really today, I just kind of wanted to go over today's sketch assignment, which is basically sketch a section, right? And to be fair, that might be a lot of work. So actually, we already saw this previously. I don't know how many of you guys look at each other's sketches, especially on the mirror board, but I take a look at them every day. And, you know, Kale actually found out that you can, of course, take a picture and trace it. So I wanted to make sure that that kind of information was available to everybody because it does make drawing a one-point perspective that much easier. And to be fair, it's still technically a sketch, even though it is tracing reality, right? You definitely have to start somewhere. And to be fair, I think we put, you know, drawing from memory kind of too high on a pedestal. You do have to start somewhere. You have to build that memory, and then you can really draw it from memory. But you know, you got to practice. So anyway, I just wanted to go over some of the couple features. You know, definitely see everybody sketching and everything like that. But for instance, here's one of my favorite tools is just a perspective, right? You can find it definitely right at the top left right here. It looks like a little grid system going left and right. But you can even change it up too. You can have a 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective. I got to tell you, it's kind of nice to have these guidelines just popped up out of nowhere, and the fact that you can control them as well. It is pretty interesting. So, I don't know, for those of you that just kind of drew a 1-point perspective, and you know, of course he's not here right now, but it was very cereal box. I'll just put it that way. Especially, you know, just using the tools that are available. So setting up that 2-point or that 3-point, right? And then of course using it. Another thing that I noticed is you're able to use a ruler, which is, to be fair, in most programs, right? You can start to use a ruler. We can make straight lines. So it seems kind of ridiculous to me that, you know, use it when it's appropriate, use it when it's tried out, right? So there's a ruler and things like that. But of course, the one I wanted to go over today was simply just putting in an image and tracing it. Normally we'd use a whiteboard, right? Or we'd use the light board that are normally in the studios. We'd have to get that trace paper. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of steps involved. And to be fair, it is a much higher and better quality. But in terms of speed, there's just nothing unmatched. I mean, it's pretty unmatched in terms of the iPad. I simply go to this picture right here, and I'll find an image. So in my case, I can either take that picture, I can even set up a picture. But in my case, I'm just gonna click on the little icon. And I'm gonna use one of the Francis Ching images that I got from earlier. In this first step, essentially you gotta lock on the image to a certain layer. So in our case, I'm just kinda getting it really close. And what's nice is you'll notice that even at the bottom, it shows us the scale of the image and the rotation of it. So that's pretty nice. I'm kind of just trying to put mine in the center. After all, I'm gonna basically make it go away once I'm finished. I'll press done, and it's pretty locked on. I can't accidentally change it, and of course it's basically locked into the canvas, which is really nice because if you've ever tried to trace things, it really stinks, both in physical and digital, when the image moves and you have to constantly realign it. So again, another useful tool in this program. As we see on the left side, or sorry, right side, we have the layers and things like that. So I want to draw on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a layer to it. And as you can see, really nicely, just like Photoshop, we can, of course, turn off those layers. And I would really encourage you to work in these layers. I don't know about you, but I layer everything. Especially if I mess up the sky. Sorry, I forgot to put these on YouTube. I was about to cuss. I put a layer for sky, I put a layer for trees, I put a layer for any of the textures that I use. Because I can't tell you how many times I have a professor or a client that goes, no, not the wood. What if we put the wood over there? Oh, not that. What if I put that over there? And I want to have these layers available. That way I can always make either another one or change it. So in my case, let's just go ahead and trace it. One of my favorite tools so far in this program has definitely been the marker. And just in case you don't know it, this little sliding bar actually controls the size, and you can kind of see it right up at the top right there, of course changing size. So in my case, yeah, it took me a while to kind of figure that out. Of course, we have the color panel, and you guys know me, I'm never going to use true black. It's sort of always an off black, and to be fair, usually use like a purple in there, kind of a purplish tone. Get it pretty dark. You can also control the flow, right? You'll notice that you kind of have to touch off screen and then scroll up and scroll down, and you'll see the percentage of the flow. Usually I keep it at about 69, 70%, somewhere that it's passing. But we can zoom in and of course trace this guy. It's kind of thick, but I can appreciate a thick section cut line. To be fair, I could get the ruler involved, and I think if you have the ruler actually involved, it's only going to follow that straight line. So like if you do something there, it's only going to go against the ruler. So maybe not the best use of it. It does support multi-touch though, so that is kind of nice. You can control the ruler at the same time as you draw the pen. But I'm just freehanding it. And again, for today's sketch, this could be actually your precedent. So I don't know about you, even if you don't use these drawings, guys, especially for like studio or anything like that, consider it to be used for our stuff, right? With Miro, or just you did a sketch for the Parti model. Use that for today's sketch, right? It doesn't necessarily have to follow my sketch directions. Those are really just guidelines, just in case we have nothing to do. But we want to practice. Myself included. I'm right there with you guys, trying to practice and seeing if I notice any improvement of my skills as well. So as much as I am using you guys as a case study, it's been actually quite nice to put myself under the gun and test my skills as well. Very often I find that I have to learn these skills first before I can even teach them. So I'm right there with you. But we can change it. We get some line weight in there. Might take a little while, so might use something thicker. That's a bit too much. Again, I can't tell you how much I love the back button. But since I have actually that traced, I can put another layer, put that one on top. Pretty sure. Oh no. Can we change it? Oh, we can. You just have to hold it down a little bit, and then of course, can move those. But I do want that to be underneath my line, so there's the reasoning for that. I don't know, let's get a sky in there. And I could actually start to turn this off and go, oh yeah, I still need actually a lot more information. Let's get some of the thin stuff in there. Let's switch to a pencil maybe. Some line weights going. Change it up myself. Maybe I don't want Ching sketch. Maybe I want a scale figure. But you'll notice a lot of the times, even when you trace something, guys, you're really learning a lot about the project. So if you're not tracing your precedent study, I don't even know what you're really studying it for. If you're not getting something out of it, or not just the forms or the geometries or how they laid out space, but what they actually responded to, then are you really studying a precedent study? Or are you just going with emotions because, well, that's what's required of you? So at least in my opinion, I would have to say that you learn a lot by just tracing. Right? You learn a lot. You start to go, oh shit, the stairs are coming up here, going up there, right? Leading to this door, I wonder what this space is. You start to find out a lot more about the project, to say the very least. But that's definitely looking a lot better. I can turn off a layer. Oh, okay, still have. Oh, I accidentally drew it on that layer, my bad. So I can still mess up just like I do in Photoshop. That's good to know, at least I'm consistent. Let's get another layer in there. Drag it. Sweet. And, I don't know, get some clouds. Go for like a blue. Maybe give it a lot less flow, more opacity, and a little bit bigger. know. Just have fun. Go a little darker. What was the darkness underneath the clouds? That's fine for that. But then I can actually click on the layer, and just like, you know, there's blending options, there's all kinds of things, just like Photoshop. But I'm gonna go ahead and take that opacity down. Super light, just because I know how these things print. And after all, I do want my architecture to stand out more than the drawing. But it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to get rid of my photo, so let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go ahead and trace it again, in my case. Not a big deal. At least for the sake of tutorial. I wish it had a, you know, sort of a color saver. I guess that's what this is right here. Let's draw that on the actual layer we need it. In my case, it'll look like I'm doing absolutely nothing. Gotta get the skylight. Maybe even the structure right there. But yeah, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, right, to say the least. Of course, we can take that off. And we'll fill in some poche. I don't know, definitely a poche kind of guy, especially when it comes to my sketches. But I could very well turn this into a diagram that I want to use for my precedent study, right? I may be specifically looking at the way that it captures light, so I could think of another layer. I'll put that one on top. I don't know. Maybe it's some sort of light diagram. So I'm gonna get some yellow, a little bit of orange. Maybe make that one a little hotter. Can zoom in, I forgot. I usually can't zoom into my sketches. I can get the straight line out. Right. And start to get some facts involved. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to show the winter sun, so maybe I make it a little cooler. That's a bit much. That's big. That's better. Line those up just right. But yeah, I could even use it to diagram, to say the least. And if I want to see it without the diagram, I could. But again, now I can use this precedent study. I didn't have to do much. I just had to trace it, right? Make it my own. It's still a sketch, right? And what's even nicer is I can still actually come back and change some of the layers up if they're too dark or too light. So again, there's a lot of a lot of liberty, I think, in this program that I don't know about you, but I've never been used to. Right, as soon as I mess up, I usually trash it. Right, and just start over again. And maybe that's why I've actually gotten really good at drawing, is just from practicing so many times, failing so many times. So one thing I would say is don't be afraid of failure on this one, guys. Also, try to achieve what you originally set out to do. Very often, at least I've noticed this in myself, is I'll go into these random, like, well, I figured this out, but I have no idea what I originally actually wanted to get done with my original start, right? So staying focused could be the challenge as well. But just to recap, we went over the ruler a little bit, some markers, how to upload an image, and of course trace it, and then a little bit about how the layers work themselves. Hopefully, generally a review for most of us, but just in case you don't know that you can trace images, my goodness, hopefully this significantly improves some of y'all's drawings that seem like they were done in 30 seconds rather than 10 or 15 minutes. So any questions or comments that you guys have ran across that you want to show the class, essentially through me, as again, this video is kind of for those of us that are not here, and then also to recap, just, oh yeah, what happened on Wednesday? I have no idea. Right? No questions? Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. So I am expecting a sketch today. Doesn't have to be the section of your current project, even though that is what it says. It could be a precedent. It could be the last section that you guys went over. Say like your first project, if you want to sketch your section, by all means. You already have it loaded, go for it. All right, trace that bad boy up. Other than that, I'll leave it at this for today and upload that recording.